that was a commitment we made really well over a decade ago, and even added to that inventory since my tenure as chief. I'm in my 12th year now. So recognizing the potential threats that we could face, particularly people wearing ballistic armor, we know we have to have the kind of equipment and weaponry to be able to thwart that. That was pretty crucial in this case, and I'm sorry, I think you had a question.
Was the shooter with his sister prior to the shooting?
Yes, yes. The information we have is they all came in the same vehicle, but they separated at some point.
Was there an altercation in the vehicle before?
No information in that regard. Yes.
How was their family doing? They've lost both their children today.
Well, I think you can imagine this is a nightmare for them, and I think they are struggling, as you can understand.
Have they spoken at all? Have they said it?
We've had a chance to have contact with them, yes, we've had.
Any indication that he was influenced by El Paso, the incident out there?
Pardon?
Any indication that he was influenced by the incident in El Paso?
We have no information to suggest that. None at this time.
Have you had a chance to talk to her boyfriend? If he came in the car with them, he knew that this gun and the ballistic vest and all this stuff was in the car?
We had an opportunity to talk to the individual who rode in a vehicle with him. So that is part of our investigation. That's ongoing.
Any information on when the vest was purchased or where that came from?
Yes, we do have that information, but we're not going to release it at this time.
Chief, we're hearing from classmates of his from Bellbrook saying when he was in school there, he was suspended for a year because he had a hit list.
Mhm.
Can you confirm any of that? I know no criminal charges were filed.
I can't confirm, and I'm going to, because it's going to speak to potential motive, right? I mean, that's what people are trying to get to here. There is far too much information that we have to review before we can even begin a conversation about possible motive. And I will not talk about any potential slice of evidence, is value or not at this time. It's just way too early.
Chief, you said there were 2 weapons?
Yes.
So he had a shotgun and an assault rifle on him?
And I'll just reconfirm. We have the shotgun wasn't.
The shotgun was in the vehicle, the assault rifle was.
Yeah, so there are 2 weapons, but one of which was used in the assault.
One he left in the vehicle?
Yes.
That he took to the place with his sister and her friend?
Well, let me just say that those weapons eventually wound up at that location. They separated at some point later in that evening. So what he did during that time that they were no longer together is a question mark in our investigation and something we're going to have to determine.
When do we believe
Was
they
anything
usually
found
robbed
at the
the
house?
I think that question was already asked, and I said we're not going to talk about any evidence at this time.
Rounds were fired between your officers and his young man?
Yeah, I don't have a number for you right now. We were trying to confirm that. We basically do ballistics checks, so we look for shell casings at the scene, but then we have to match that against magazine capacity and rounds missing, and that's not always a precise comparison. So I don't have a precise number for you at this
And
time.
all the deceased victims were killed by him and not by any other?
We don't have any reason to believe that any of the persons deceased were shot by other than the assailant at this time.
Any
Was the
time on
sister
when
and
they
his
may have
companion-
split up from that car?
Hang on, what's that?
Any time when they may have split up? You said that the suspect and
They did at some point in time. I don't think we have a precise time for that, but clearly it was some point in the evening that they did part ways.
Do you know what time they all arrived together?
I don't have that available to me right now. I mean, I don't have that specific information, so.
Did he shoot at your officers?
Hang on.
Did he shoot at your officers, or was he, killed?
I don't think we have that known with absolute certainty. There was a vehicle shot early on in that exchange, right as our officers were either engaging or about to engage. So I can't really speak to that precisely.
Was the sister and the companion targeted by the shooter, or were they part of just an indiscriminate shooting?
That's really something we can't tell at this point. It's a question, it's a nagging question, and I just don't have the answer. We're trying to sort through that ourselves.
Did any of the other victims, did any other victims know the shooter? Did any other victims know the shooter?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can you speak on the significance of that bar? Was there a reason why he wanted to go in there?
Not that we're aware of, so we really don't know if that was somehow of importance.
There's a press person over here.
With any of the 27 other victims, are
We don't have, I think, anything precise on the other 27, do we?
There's been training.
One critical? One's critical?
Chief, how will this incident change how your department polices that? Will it?
Well, you know, it's interesting because we already have a concentration present there just because it's an entertainment venue. We realize a lot of people come to Oregon District. I've been there very recently. So certainly we know a lot of folks will be there, and we have police officers present because of that reason. So will this cause us to evaluate? We will evaluate everything that touches on this incident just to determine whether or not we need to do anything differently. But there were certainly plenty of officers present that acted virtually instantaneously and effectively ended this in 30 seconds.
Chief, can you talk about your officers? You went through the guns that they used, but just the fact that they were able to be there and respond in seconds.
It was crucial. Had this individual made it through the doorway of Ned Peppers with that level of weaponry, there would have been a catastrophic injury and loss of life. So stopping him before he could get inside there, where you saw all the people they were running in there for protection, was essential in minimizing to the degree we could casualties and deaths from this incident.
Did the shooter have a chance to reload?
I'm not aware of that being the case.
Do you have any information about legally?
They were obtained legally, yes.
I just
Chief,
wanted
do
to
you have
ask,
any information that
Hang
the
on.
shooter, the suspect, talked with anyone, spoke to anyone as this was going on?
None, Mike, none. No.
Now, Megan Betts, she was there with his friend, right? And when
Right.
she was fatally shot, he wasn't hit at all?
No, he's one of the ones that was injured, transported to the
He's
hospital.
one of the 27 injured.
That is correct.
Okay.
What was the suspect wearing? There's reports of a mask, and then there's, when we say body armor, we mean like bulletproof vest or was it
Yeah, ballistic vest.
and a mask of some sort?
That's some sort of a mask, correct.
What kind of a mask?
I don't have that information available.
Chief, just to clarify, the companion, that was the shooter's companion or the sister's companion?
Well, let's say it was one and the same. They all came together. I do want to pause for a minute because I want, like, the FBI has a site that we want to get out publicly. Todd, if you can come join us and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Todd Wickerham. I'm the FBI special agent in charge for this part of the state. And www.fbi.gov, Dayton shooting, right? So one word, Dayton shooting, after www.fbi.gov/Dayton shooting. And what we can, people can submit there, if they have videos, if they have other social media associated with this shooting that they think would be of value to the investigation, this is where they can go to upload this to get it in the right hands as we're working jointly with Dayton on this investigation.
Thank you. And Ben, do you want to mention anything regarding Department of Justice attention to this matter?
Chief, I just wanted to say on behalf of the United States that the Department of Justice, as you can see, has been working closely, giving our full support to Dayton in its investigation. The United States stands with Dayton. Our condolences to the victims and the families of the deceased. And obviously the United States is going to provide all resources that it has at its disposal from any agencies in order to further this investigation to its completion, working with the Dayton Police. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
Will this PowerPoint be on your website, or is there a way for us?
Yeah, we can get it to you, but we'll get the video. We have to find a way to do that because there's a lot of you here, and so we got to figure out what that looks like. So maybe it's out there in a public domain you can access. I don't know. We'll have to talk that through. That's a technological piece I don't have mastery over right now, so we'll have to come back to that.
The whole PowerPoint, right?
Right, right.
How
How
badly
many of
injured
your
is the companion?
officers fired shots?
We have 6, so a sergeant and 5 officers
And they all
fired at least 1 round. Right.
How many
Yes.
How
officers were on?
badly injured is the companion, and has he had a chance to talk to investigators?
Yeah, I answered that previously. He was wounded, but not so serious that we were not able at least to have some initial conversation with him.
How many
so.
officers were on patrol in the Oregon District at the time of the shooting?
That I don't have a great answer for. I can tell you 6 of them were there that engaged. That I can tell you.
What is the training like for officers to maybe look at the scene? I'd asked in the previous press conference, is there any way to prevent something like this to happen? And some of the things that were said was to really be on watch and look. I mean, the reaction was quick, but is there any training that officers receive to
I mean, certainly there is training. I mean, even looking at someone's gait, how they walk can be suggestive of carrying a firearm. Certain mannerisms can be suggestive of them carrying a firearm. This firearm wasn't hidden, so this wasn't hard to probably figure out once it emerged. But for weapons that are more concealable, that's a little bit more of a challenge, but there are some ways for for police officers in particular, I might say, to have some indication that person may be armed and be able to take action.
Was the weapon modified in any way to accelerate the rate of fire, like pump stock or anything like that?
Well, it wasn't sold in that final condition. That has some level of modification to it.
In addition to the barrel, something to change the rate of fire specifically?
Yeah, so there have been some modifications, and I can't speak to those in specific, but it wasn't sold in that particular state.
And this gun was an AR-15, not an AK-47, right?
AR-15 like would be probably the right way to say that.
Chief, Deputy Chief Carper talked about some electronic evidence that you guys are sifting through. Are you able to expand on that?
We have digital evidence. We have phone evidence, so I don't want to get into greater detail there, but clearly we're looking for any kind of evidence we can. This day and age, a lot of evidence is digital.
Does that get into social media?
Yes.
Just the video?
Yes. Yes.
And how much was the shooter on your radar? I know that was he known to you on some?
Not at all. Not at all.
Do we know who the vehicle was registered to? Was it his vehicle, the sister's vehicle, the companion's vehicle?
Do we know who the vehicle's registered to? To his father. Yes.
Has something like this happened in Dayton before, or is this
Not this particular type of event, no. No, we've had some multiple casualty shootings, but they weren't what we would describe as an active shooter.
so would this be considered the largest fatality that you've dealt with?
Certainly my tenure.
Is it clear if all of the weapons were in the vehicle at some point, or if maybe when they split up, if
Yeah.
the suspect obtained the other vehicle?
That's what's not known. It's just not known. So we can't say that with precision, whether the weapons were there all the time or after they separated, that's when the person went and got equipment and geared up. We just don't know at this time. We're hoping to determine that.
Drum magazines carry 100 rounds apiece?
Collectively.
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 In 2 drums?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, under no federal or state statute,
Not that I'm aware of.
do your officers carry any magnitude of bullets like that, 50 or 100?
No, no.
Would there be any use to your officers carrying that many rounds at a time?
I don't even know it's a question. I'm going to kind of speculate here. We carry sufficient, I mean, we do have the availability of additional rounds should we need them, and we deploy those in a way to sense that we think makes sense. I'm not going to say what that is. We need to resolve every piece of, certainly evidence, evaluate every piece of evidence that we have now and will receive until the point we believe we have no more evidence to review. And that includes interviewing, whoever we need to interview, that may be able to shed light on this individual's conduct in the recent days, as well as any historical information we think would be important to know that could explain conduct ultimately. So until we have what we think is the known universe of evidence, we're going to keep pursuing this investigation. I just don't know when that's going to be.
Has the companion said what the plan was for the evening or why they split up at some point?
I don't have the information. And folks, I've told you everything I really can share today. You'll probably ask a lot of questions again I've already answered. That's going to conclude this interview. I appreciate your attention to this matter. I ask you to lift up the victims in this event and give them the honor and dignity they deserve in their lives and for their tragic, ultimately avoidable death.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. That's going to conclude our press conferences for the day. I'm sure we'll have more in the coming days ahead. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you working really diligently to confirm any information that you have had today. I ask you to continue to do that. If we're not giving you the information, there's a reason why, because the investigation is underway. I'm asking you, since we've been so forthright in these conversations, to respect that back to us as well. and make sure that before you put anything up, that you have it confirmed. Okay? Thank you for being great today. No more press conferences this evening planned, okay? 8 p.m. on the vigil tomorrow. We don't have our time scheduled for tomorrow, but you all will be the first. Well, no more press conferences tonight. The vigil's at 8 p.m. tonight in the Oregon District, okay? No more press conferences tonight. I'm sure we'll have press conferences